Hi everyone, welcome to Financial Management course provided by Save Our Grades program. My name is Andy and I am your teaching assistant for this course. Today, we will discover chapter 5, Discounted Cash Flow Valuation. So I believe that you guys are already very familiar to these concepts because during your class time, Professor Tracy already explained everything. But just a reminder, I will try to explain everything again one more time so that you guys will gain more insight about what are we working on. So first of all is the future value. So the first thing I want to remind you guys about is the interest rate. The interest rate. We can also denote interest rate with the R symbol. R symbol. Okay. So for example, if you go to a bank and you deposit $100, okay, and your expectation is every year you will gain a return of 2%. So what to do with future value? And here I have a graph look like this. So here is the current time where you deposit your money, year 0, after 1 year, okay. So how much money will you have after 1 year when you deposit $100? So it's very easy. You just take 100, you multiple with 1 plus 2%. And this will be the amount of money you earn after 1 year. And this one equal to $102. So we have just found out that after 1 year, the amount of money you make is $2, which adding up in a total of $102. So if you keep putting this amount of money in the bank with the same interest rate, 2%. So after 2 years, start from year 0, how much you gonna make? So clearly you can see that we just apply the same formula. So after 2 years, you will make 100 times 1 plus 2%. Why? Because 100 times 1 plus 2% is what you make after 1 year. So after 2 years, you will times one more time of 1 plus 2%. And this will be the new amount of money you make after 2 years. So do you see any pattern here? Do you see any pattern here? Yes, we can clearly see a pattern here. And there will be a formula. The future value is equal to the deposit times 1 plus R to the power of the period, the number of periods. So for example, if in an exercise they ask you how much money can you make after 3 years, so the n will equal to 3. If they ask you what is the amount of money you make after 5 years, so the n will equal to 5. It's just easy like that. We'll get into the examples soon, so don't be panic. Now we move to the next part of the video, the present value. So future value and present value are actually reversed. If you have future value, you can find present value. And if you have present value, you surely can find the future value. So what is present value? Well, present value is the same thing with the deposit from the future value formula. Here, this deposit. So is that easy now? That's right. So the formula is future value divided by 1 plus R to the power of n. I just explained future value and deposit are two similar things. So if you apply what I said, you calculate the present value by just taking the future value and you divide it by 1 plus R to the power of n. And to make an example, for example, if you know that the future value after 5 years of a deposit is $105 and the interest rate is 2%. So the present value will be equal to 105 divided by 1 plus 2% to the power of the period, the number of periods. How many periods? Oh, we can count. There is 1, 2, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. So the n will be equal to 5. And this is gonna be the present value of $105. So we have the study about the future value and the present value. Now we move to the next concept, the net present value. Okay, so what to do with the word net? So I believe that if you guys into business, you guys want to make money, you guys know that to maintain a good business, you need to make a lot of profit, right? So how do you calculate profit? So net profit is equal to revenue minus cost. So net profit is the difference between revenue and cost. So similar concept for net present value. Net present value is the difference between the present value of cash inflows and the present value of cash outflows. So if this one is the definition of NPV, so how are we gonna apply it into examples? So right here below, let's read the example together. Your broker calls you and tells you that he has this great investment opportunity. If you invest $100 today, you will receive $40 in 1 year and $75 in 2 years. So if you require a 15% return on investment of this risk, should you take the investment or not? So before we solve the problem, let's analyze it together. Let's analyze every number appear in this exercise. So first of all is $100. You invest $100. So what does it mean? It means that you just make a $100 outflow from your own pocket, because we are looking at the investor perspective, and you invest $100 mean you take out your own $100 and you put it somewhere else. So at the current time, you just make a minus $100 because you spend $100 on something. You hope that it will make a return in the future. And in fact, it does make a return. After 1 year, you receive $40. And in the second year, you make $75. So in 1 year, in the first year, it generates $40. And in the second year, it generates $75. So in total, you make $115, right? So if you require a 15% return on investment of this risk, should you take the investment? Well, in this case, most people will say, oh, of course I will, because I require 15% on the investment. And then 115 is actually equal to 100 plus 100 times 15%. But actually, it's not easy like that, because you really need to apply the formula to understand whether you should take the investment or not. So here, let me explain it to you guys. The reason why people make mistake is because they forget to calculate the net present value. And just a reminder, net present value is the present value of every cash flow, both cash outflow and cash inflow. So if the NPV is equal to the difference between the cash inflow and the cash outflow, so what's gonna be the number to apply in this exercise? So as you can see, the cash inflow is 40 and 50 and 75. We got it right later. But the cash outflow is minus 100. As I explained, because at the current time, you put $100 out of your pocket. But for the cash inflow, it's a bit different. It's not just simple 40 and 75. But because you have to discount it, you have to discount it because you require 15% return on investment. So you have to discount it. So what do I mean? The cash inflow should be 45 divided by 1 plus 15% plus 40, sorry. So that's gonna be 40 plus 75 divided by 1 plus 15% to the power of 2, because 75 happens after 2 years. So the answer for the net present value is gonna be minus 8.506. So as you can see here, the NPV is smaller than 0, which indicate that the present value, the net present value of every cash flow at this time is smaller than 0. So why would you invest in something if the net present value is lower than 0? It means that you put money in, and instead of receiving a good return, you not even make money. So you reject this investment. So in which case will you accept and you take the investment? You only take it if the NPV is larger or at least equal to 0. You will accept. But for this exercise, it's a rejection. Now, I will teach you guys how to do this exercise by using calculator instead of writing it manually. Well, so during class time, Professor Tracy said that we can either use the BA calculator or the Casio calculator. But for this course, I will use the BA calculator, as I believe that it is more popular use, and even in the professional world in the future, people also use this calculator because of its convenience. So let's get started. So these are the input that's shown on the slides, Tracy slides. And just a note, so what is FO1? Because a lot of people ask me, Andy, I don't understand what is FO. So to explain it easily, F, it means frequency. And my definition is how many times does a cash flow repeat? Because imagine if you have a stock, let's say if you have a stock and it pay you dividend, and this one is a fixed dividend of $5, which means that every year it pay you $5. So $5, $5, $5, $5, $5, forever. As long as you or your family keep the stock, it pay you $5 every year. So let's say that if the cash flow is $5, right? Because you make $5. So the frequency gonna be, let's say if you keep the stock for 40 years. So the frequency is 40 because you keep receiving the same amount of money for 40 years in a row. So instead of having to type CO1, cash flow number 1, cash flow number 2, cash flow number 3, cash flow number 4, cash flow number 5, you just need to type cash flow one time and repeat it for 40 times by pressing 40 on the FO1 row. So this is the reason why we have the FO function in the calculator. Now we're gonna use the calculator to calculate the answer for the exercise, and you guys will find out that using calculator calculator. It's much more easier than doing it manually. So the first step is to press CF on the second row of the calculator to activate the cash flow function. The next step, you have to press second and then CEC, which is located in the last row, in order to clear all the previous work you used to have on the calculator. And then on the screen, there is CF0, the first cash flow. The first cash flow is $100 today. It's a cash outflow, so it should be minus 100 because it's a cash outflow. You press 100 and then you press the button which is next to the equal button, plus/minus, in order to put the minus sign before 100. Then you press enter, go down. Cash flow number 1, after 1 year, you receive $40, so you press 40, enter, go down. The frequency is, of course, 1. It's not gonna repeat any more than 1. So 1, enter, go down. CO2 is 75 because you earn $75 in second year. Enter, go down. And the frequency is also 1. Enter. Now you have to calculate the NPV, the net present value, of every cash flow, including CO1, CO2, CF0. And so to do it, you find the button on the second row of the calculator. NPV is the third button from left to right. You press NPV. And the calculator will ask you, so what is the interest rate? Instead of typing 15%, you only type 15. So 15. Enter. Go down and you press compute. CPT. And the answer is minus 8.5066. So minus 8.5066 is the NPV. And because this NPV is smaller than 0, so we reject the investment, as I have explained. Now, we are on the last part of our lecture today. It's the APR, the annual percentage rate, and the EIR, the effective annual rate. So first of all, let's read together the definition of these terminologies. So effective annual rate is the interest rate expressed as if it were compounded once per year. And it used to compare two alternative investments with different compounding periods. Meanwhile, the annual percentage rate, APR, or the nominal interest rate, is the annual rate quoted by law, and this annual percentage rate is what the people often see in real life. And the formula for APR is equal to periodic rate multiplied by the number of periods per year. So periodic rate is equal to APR divided by periods per year. So example, so if the APR, what is the APR if the monthly rate is 0.5%? So monthly rate is 0.5%. So how many months are there in 1 year? Look at the formula. APR is equal to periodic rate times number of periods per year. So monthly rate 0.5%, which means this one is the periodic rate. So periodic rate is 0.5%. Multiple by the number of periods per year. So this one is monthly calculated. And there are 12 months in 1 year. So you times 12. This one equal to 6%. So what is the APR if the semi-annual rate is 0.5%? Semi-annual means you calculate 2 times per year. It's calculated twice per year, which means 0.5% times the number of periods per year, 2 periods, because it's calculated semi-annually. So it's 2 and this one equal to 1%. Finally, what is the monthly rate if the APR is 12% with monthly compounding? So we just do the reverse thing of the previous two questions. We take APR, we divide by periods per year. Periods per year. And because it's monthly compounding, so there will be 12 periods per year. So 12% divided by 12. This one equal to 1%. So we just finished understanding what is APR. Now we move on to EAR. So just a word of reminders. Even though EAR and APR appear to be very easy and not important, but surely it will be a part of your midterm exam. So I highly recommend you guys to stay highly focused on it. And for EAR, the formula is 1 plus APR divided by m to the power of m minus 1. M is the number of compounds per year, and APR is the quoted rate. As you can see, the formula is very complex and it's hard to remember. So I believe that it's better for us to know how to calculate the EAR by using the calculator. So I also recommend you guys to buy yourself your own calculator in order to achieve the highest score possible during the midterm exam. Let's look at this example. Suppose you can earn 1% per month on $1 invested today. $1 invested today. What is the APR? So what number can we analyze? We earn 1% per month. So 1% per month means that the APR, which is the annual periodic rate, is equal to here, the periodic rate times the number of periods per year. So there will be 12 periods. 12 periods times number of periodic rate. Periodic rate is 1%. So APR is equal to 12%. As explained in the picture. But the second question is, how much are you effectively earning? So to find out what is the EFF on the calculator, the first step you have to do is to press second. Then you press icon, and this icon is located on the second row from the bottom to the top. Right. So here they ask you what is NOM. So what NOM stands for? NOM stands for nominal interest rate. And here, if you look at the slide, nominal interest rate is the same thing as APR. And in the first question, we just calculate what is the APR. It's 12%. So you press 12. Enter. And you go down 2 times. 1, 2. CY. C over Y stand for the number of compounds. Number of periods per year. And so because this one is monthly calculated, so there will be 12 periods, right? So you press 12. You enter. But this time, instead of going down, we're going up. And it showcases the EFF. And you press compute. The answer is 12.6825. So the effective annual rate is 12.6825%. So this is the end of our video today. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys have any question, feel free to contact me. I leave my Instagram QR code here, and you can just text me to ask any question related to the lecture. In the next video, we will try to do more example related to chapter 5 together. Thank you very much.